You got to put your TV down too, okay?
Okay.
Otherwise, you'll be hearing the delay on there.
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I got a special guest. You'll like
Erie Zone Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers. It's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Going down or up?
Oop. Well, here we are. Welcome to Taxpayer Hotline. Yeah, you look good. And the man next to me, you want to introduce yourself?
This is Randy Barnes.
And we've had many people wanted to see Mr. Barnes on TV, and he is seated. This is Kasquatowski City Councilman. And once again, the rules real quick. This is your show where you get exactly 1 hour, no commercial interruptions, no cutting off the callers. You even get to cut up the host once in a while, on rare occasion. Where else do you get that chance? And so with that, we got one caller already. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I was wondering where your green was today.
My green? Well, let me tell you this. I went to a high school that wore green.
Oh.
Tech Memorial. I spent many years in the service wearing green. I think I'm greened out.
Oh, well, it's only 1 day a year.
Well, yeah, but you know what? There's enough out there in green right now. Randy Morton made up for it.
Yeah.
I wear green all the time. I'm a trendsetter, but you know, on this 1 day of the year, everybody let's see.
Black today for some reason.
No, that's blue, dark blue.
That's dark blue?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, I just called to wish you happy St. Patty's Day.
How many people do you think are in church today?
Today?
Yeah. It's a Christian holiday in Ireland. Do you think there's anybody in church?
Not here.
Well, I've seen a lot of them at St. Sullivan's, St. Scully's, and a few other places.
Well, that's a different kind of sainthood.
Yeah, I use that same argument when I say I give up football for Lent.
Oh, okay.
Well, there is indoor football, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, well, you have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Well, Randy,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Well, I thank you for inviting me on your show today, and I think you got another caller.
Well, we'll get you in somehow, right?
Okay.
Go ahead, caller.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. How long will the statute of limitations that Mr. Barnes mentioned at last city council meeting be able to prevent city from collecting refuse fees?
We could get into that. I was told now we we're still in the preliminary stages. Actually, more in preliminary. We're getting in pretty deep. I don't think it applies to municipal liens. I'm not an attorney, and I don't play one on TV. But we were told, I think, that it does not apply to municipal liens. I'm going to check into that because that is relevant to the argument.
Has Mr. Barnes already checked into how far back it can be collected?
Yeah, that's correct. I asked one of the city solicitors, and it's either 4 or else 6 years. And that's on the debt. I'm thinking it's 4 years, but it could be 6. So anything beyond that, unless you acknowledge that you want to pay, you're pretty much free and clear.
We're going to check.
My understanding.
We'll check into that just because there are different classes of liens, and like I say, I'm not an attorney. And
well, the problem I think, Kaz, is there's been no liens placed. A lien is something that's a legal thing at the courthouse. It's liened against your property. But a debt that doesn't have a lien against your property, I think, is either 4 or else 6 years. It's no longer can be collected unless you agree to it to continue to pay.
I will be going over the courthouse either this week or next. We're going to check on it. But from what I understand, the liens have been placed. You know, it's what I have to determine is at what point are they placed. That's what I want to find out. You know,
Sure.
And if all the liens have been placed. But we're going to find out, sir.
But you're going to go over with Mr. McGoey to...
Well, I asked him to. He hasn't. I'm going to have to try to get a hold of him. I asked him to call me back. But I'm going to go over one way or the other and meet with the gentleman that levies the liens over there. And we're going to check, because, what they're telling council, that's That's why we hire, solicitors and attorneys to keep us informed. But, I'm going to check because this is an issue that we're taking serious. I mean, we're getting pretty close to coming up with a solution that we think we want to see happen.
Okay, and what will you have a definite answer on the number of years back you can go? Is it definitely 4 or 5 years only?
Well, I'll ask our solicitor first, and then I will ask somebody else I trust in the business also. 2 opinions are always good.
Okay.
And then I'll go over to the courthouse and check it out.
When do you think you will have an answer?
Hopefully by next Monday.
Okay.
My schedule's a little different now that I'm not at City Hall like I used to be. So, I will make every attempt to get over there for you, okay?
Okay, Kaz. And thank you, Mr. Barnes, for looking into that.
You're welcome.
You have a good day.
Okay.
You too.
Yeah, these, one thing about all the studies and everything we do, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of them done. And they all make sense.
Whoa, looks like you're drawing
I'm not sure.
it might be. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. Hello? Nope. I think he's still there. Hello, this is Houston. Hello? Don't think he's there.
Yeah.
One of the hot issues, the rail yard.
Yeah. Yeah, the rail yard. And, it goes back to economic development in the city. The city, I think, is lacking for economic development.
I would tend to agree with you, and I think,
If you lay it there, I don't
whoa, somebody's having a party. What's up? Go ahead, caller.
I think they hung up.
Must be.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned because we know that the city greatly needs economic development, and it seems like there's an awful lot of property in this city that's being kind of neglected. And when we talk about economic development, and one of those properties I think about is the International Paper Site, where there's abundance of water. And
Not only that, you have the Joyce
Rail.
Arachio Industrial Park, which is, I think, producing grass right now.
yeah.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
Oh, go ahead, gentlemen. I'm gonna make a lower my.
Hello?
I have to lower my volume.
Sure.
Hold on.
Yep, keep your TV down.
There it is. Okay. Hello, gentlemen.
Yes, go ahead, you're on.
Yes. How are you?
Good.
Good, thank you.
I have one question. Why are you dressed in black and Randy Barnes dressed in all white and a green tie? What's the logic here?
Oh, no logic at all. I just don't, I don't happen to own any green shirts off the top of my head.
No, you don't, because nobody pays. There's nobody there to pay your clothing allowance or whatever.
I get no allowance. But you know what I could have wore? I could have wore my Army dress greens. Would that have impressed you or what?
I'm a veteran. I'm a Navy veteran. So let's not go there. But
Oh, I mean, I wore green all my life, but just today I happen to not have a green shirt available, but...
I just want to say I'm grateful that Randy Barnes is on your show today. Thank you.
Well, at least hey,
Well, thank you.
I please an old Navy guy, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's the green tie. I'm not sure.
See, the Army and Navy, we still battle.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I think-
ingrained in our...
Oh, yeah. It's inbred. Yeah, there's a football game once a year, isn't there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still... I paid this year.
Yeah.
Whoop. One thing, I'd say this, you are bringing out the calls.
Oh, I don't know.
Go ahead, caller.
Hi, I just want to know who the guy is sitting with the white shirt and the green tie is. Could you tell us what he does?
Randy Barnes, I'll let him tell you.
Yeah, my name is Randy Barnes, and my real profession is I'm a salesman, but I have a real interest in what goes on in our Erie County, Erie City, because it's a big deal that to make sure the city grows and the county grows, to provide jobs and provide opportunities for the citizens here.
Now, you're hearing that from a guy who lives in Harbor Creek, but he comes to every one of our meetings. You still there?
Okay. Yeah, because, as the city goes, the county goes. We can't have a strong county without having a strong city. And whether we live in the city or we come in here to work or play, we have to remember that, again, the city needs to be strong, and we all need to do our part to help the city.
And vice versa, the whole area grows. Go ahead, caller.
I believe there are plenty of places in the city, as he is saying. The mayor on Jimmy's show a couple weeks ago pretty much poo-pooed that there's no place in the city for this thing to go.
Well, you know what? We have only, I'm not interrupting, but nobody's seen the report. I haven't, have you?
No, I haven't seen any report about, if you're talking about the rail yard and where it could be located. If you ever look on your Google Maps or on your internet and look at all the railroad tracks that are running all through the city, 12th Street and up Ash, up the Bayfront Highway and down to the Bayfront, down to the port, and there's railroad tracks quite a few places in the city. And I think if it need be, there could be a place for us to load intermodal rail cars within the city.
What do you feel, sir?
I totally agree. I mean, is he in bed with the Elliots and them? I mean, this caller called in, and he pretty much shot down, like, sorry, pal, there ain't nowhere here.
Well, maybe the mayor's seen the report, but I haven't. I look at all this area down around, Representative Harkins and I were talking about it, and we talked with some of the legislators from the Harbor Creek area, and if you look at Franklin Avenue to East Avenue area, I mean, that was a hub for industrial corridor many years ago. And I would like to see the report. I want them to tell me why it won't work. And then I'd like to argue back why it might work.
I always have a problem with people that say no very quickly, because I was just a young person when we landed on the moon in the 60s, so I think that just about anything is possible. It just comes down to people that want to sit at the table and compromise and work out a solution.
So you'd be for it, right, sir?
Quickly, oh yes. But what about that empty land at the old hammer mill area? That's a perfect rail yard and everything right there.
What?
And the access to the Bayfront, 12th Street, I don't, why he just, once again, he just doesn't want nothing to do with it. And that's what leads me quickly before I hang up is he involved in any way with this, how you're trying to get the garbage fees? Because even there, he comes off as, I don't care, this is, I mean, all you guys are sitting in your meetings with council. Is he there at all? Does he have any input? Is he concerned? Because he comes off like he's not.
Mr. Elliott.
Mr. Elliott, you mean?
The mayor comes off as just, oh well, I got it. I got the rates going up, and you people want to figure out a way to do it. But I'm gonna go worry about something else. Whatever that is, I don't know.
Well, in this form of government, he's the administrator, and we're the voice of the people. So, I mean, I for one, I want to study this, and I plan on, along with Representative Harkins and a few others, I plan on doing what I can to try to light a fire and at least have this thing considered. I think here we are. I think this community, we'll put it before the people, but I think we'd rather have that thing come here with the jobs and the economic input than, to have it go in an area where they really don't want it, and you're talking about a bedroom community, really.
Yeah, this whole economic development and talking about the city, I mean, that's what the city needs in order to raise real estate taxes. And when I got to looking at not only the rail yard, but also the proposed smelting plant in Albion that needs a $20 million water line, needs a rail, needs a port, I'm thinking, well, why was the IP property overlooked for the smelting plant? There's plenty of water there. There's a port. There's rail. It just seems like the city of Erie is getting bypassed on these economic development opportunities.
Well, I'm one person that's not a fan of the newspaper, but I have to agree the way they do bash the mayor. He deserves what he gets.
Well, he may be privy to something I haven't seen, and until I see that report.
These people should have voted in, and then their allegiance goes to the other people out there, the Roger Richards and the Elliots of the world.
Well, I can tell you this, neither one of those gentlemen have ever supported my candidacy. I've never received a dime from them, and as far as I'm concerned, they're all men of vision, but I'm a man of vision too. You want my vision? I can come up with any kind of plan you want to hear. But it's amazing when you have to come up with their own money. These guys have never done anything. You know, they've been using government money for everything. And you know what? This is something that will work. I don't know, but you know what? Let's find out why they can't move it a couple miles down the road and move it into the city where we might want it much better than Harbor Creek would.
Yeah, the job of mayor of the city of Erie has got to be one of the toughest jobs there is, and it's easy to criticize the mayor, but when you step back, he's got the probably, like I said, he's got an extremely difficult job.
But he's not even attempting to push this. If you listen to him on the Court Check show, he just doesn't want nothing to do with it. That's where these people want it, and that's where they want it. And no, I'm not going to fight to find it. Yeah, let's try to bring it to Erie. They don't want it. God darn it, we'll take it.
Yeah,
I just thinking. Well, go ahead.
An attitude that I don't want it here.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. The attitude should be in the city of Erie that we want economic development, and we want to see the Savacchio Business Park, the IP site, what will soon become the Lord Corporation is going to be an empty lot. We want to see those.
McClellan yet?
McClellan Business Park. We want to see those places developed. I mean, that's what they're there for. They need to be developed, and they need to demand it.
What no one ever asked was, I heard an interesting proposition. Nobody's ever called up the Campbell Soups or a lot of industries out there and say, you know, would you like to put a production line here? You know, we have rail, we have water. I've seen water sold all over the country from Buffalo and Milwaukee. How come we're not selling our water out of our plant? You know, why don't we have a water bottling plant here? It's just interesting, but I want to see jobs created and economic growth. Because you know what? In the long run, it'll all spin off everywhere.
Oh, jobs and economic growth will solve so many problems that we have. I mean, that we're looking for solutions for. But when you have jobs and you put people to work, all of a sudden it takes up 8 hours a day, and people feel good about a job. It's the people that don't have jobs that end up having problems and creating a lot of problems.
Oh, I forgot he was nice enough to. Go ahead, caller.
Can't sell water out of Lake Erie.
Well, you know, they keep telling me that, but why when I went to Virginia?
Well, the simple reason is because they're putting fluoride in their water.
Oh, I know what you're getting at, John. That's a problem. But maybe, see, like I agree with Mr. Barnes.
Your water? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I agree with Mr. Barnes on this one. Before we start shaking our head left to right, okay, maybe we have to remove that fluoride.
Well, that's a good start. Filippi screwed that all up.
Well, yeah, I mean...
you have an autonomous authority that you have your thumb under, and you tell them to go ahead and put the water in. If the constituents out there, the voters said no.
We could have put money off to the side to buy fluoride tablets for at-need families that wanted it. Much cheaper than probably we're doing with the fluoride in the water. But, you know, that was a battle in another day, another battlefield. But you know what? We are losing because... Buffalo, New York sells their water, at least one time they did, to Walmart.
Well, sure they do.
And I'm going, you know, people told me, well, you can't do it because of Canada. Well, you know, Buffalo's on Lake Erie last time I looked.
That's true there.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm just, you know, I just happen to mention that. But, you know, if that's what it would take, maybe we have to redo our thinking. If we could bring in places like, and I'm not saying they're going to come here.
Council has to do a lot of rethinking.
Well, you know, if we don't, what's left, the alternative is not pretty.
Well, that's true, and you know the whole thing, when you're driving all the industries and all the people out of the city instead of into the city, you're losing a lot. You're losing all over. You're losing the census. You're losing the money. Of course, we're not going to get the money anyways from Washington.
Hey, John, I'll give you a quick one. Ready?
Go ahead.
The city was what when you and I were young? 130,000.
When I was young, the city was about 120,000 people.
Well, it actually reached 130-some thousand, okay? So take that 30,000 out and ship it into Mill Creek.
Yes, they did that.
And Mill Creek is now 50 or 60,000.
That's true, but don't forget, they shipped a lot into Summit, a lot into Harbor Creek.
But I'm just using these two as an example. Take the 100 and the 60, you got 160, right?
That's true.
That's 30,000 more that lived in the city at the time. That's your city that grew. Unfortunately, it's over in another geopolitical boundary. Now, what's the county at? 280, right?
Yeah.
You know what it was 20 years ago?
I think 20 years ago it was less.
It was about 280. Now, that's a very depressing number. Now, the people that are men of vision will tell you that, well, hey, we're holding our ground, we're steady. Well, you know, there was an old general that said in the war, I don't want anybody holding anything.
Yeah.
You know, holding steady is not progress.
No.
If we want to see this county grow in the city, yeah, we got to start changing our whole way of thinking. We can't sit there and say it's okay to shake our head left or right because, you know, some study says we can't do it. You know what?
With the city businesses and everything, they're looking for state and federal money instead of using private money. And that's one of the holdups. We have an economic developer down there, and she has free rent down there. Of course, it's our Erie development, not Erie redevelopment. It's the one the mayor has control of. And they're still behind in their taxes. They owe all kinds of money out there. And Kim Green is taking that big salary, and they're saying that her salary is based off of federal money. And if that's the case, maybe we ought to get another redevelopment officer.
Hey, you know, it should be like a rural business world where even as a CEO, if you don't make money, you'll go out of business.
Right, you know, just like this deal out here with this pork. CSX give McKeesport down there, they give them $55 million. How much are they contributing up here?
Well,
nothing.
Yeah, the word that we've got is, yeah, you're right, they're not contributing anything, and that should tell us something that what the railroads think the opportunity is for a profit in this area with an intermodal.
Which is why I want to see the report.
But there may not be the need for a $60 million intermodal terminal right now, but there may be a need for a $6 million intermodal terminal that loads with side loaders. I think you have to start small, and that could be something that could easily be done in the city.
Right, now we're going to see is four stacks of trailers down there, and how many men do they need? They need a jitney driver and a crane operator, a couple of them. There's not the jobs that John Elliott's promised.
Well, I always laugh because when I read these reports, I remember in Cleveland they said, when we build this stadium, it won't cost the taxpayers a dime. They will smoke and drink and take care of it all. Well, they're not smoking and they're not drinking to the extent that these men of vision, you know, just like the report when we built the Civic Center originally, we were going to have hotels, commercial district around there. You've been down there. Have you seen any?
No, not yet.
There's no hotel down there, right?
No.
Now, that's 20, 30 years ago. I mean, one thing about reports, they're always geared to who wants you to write them.
Oh, that's true.
You know, so I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad report or a good report, but, you know, like you brought up and Randy brought up, let's see if there really is what they say it is. And when they come up here, and I'm sure, you know, I want to be involved, I want to hear what they tell us about.
I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I think the supervisors in Harbor Creek are going to nix that deal.
Well, yeah, but if they do, then what I'm saying is take a look about 2 miles up the road.
Yeah.
Oh, you can do that. You can even go out to the old Lord Corporation. There's highway access. There's a lot of space there. The park and ride, that's not going to pan out. That's another fallacy with the Port Authority.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of opportunities maybe for inside the city somewhere to develop this, with better highway access, because right now that Harbor Creek proposal is going to require a minimum of $8 million of taxpayer money just to improve 2 intersections out there.
Where actually is it?
It's a corner of Wallbridge and Route 20.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, as you said, like a Lord Corporation, you move it somewhere in the city where you're close to the Bayfront highway system, and then you can get these trucks in and out.
Well, maybe Elliott wanted to go across the way and buy Twinkies, but that place is gone now.
Yeah, that's true. It is.
I have a question for you, Kaz.
Go ahead.
Being that the city was found the city was found not allowed to go back and do all these inspections, where's the money going to come for if the city wants to appeal that?
What inspections are you talking about, John?
The housing inspections. A gentleman took him to court saying that he didn't agree with the inspection, and the courts down in Harrisburg found 3-0 that he was right. He should have been grandfathered in. They wanted him to expand his hallway so the firemen wouldn't have any problem going up the stairs.
Yeah, wasn't that an issue over whether they should be grandfathering in some of these places before the date? Right.
Such and such a date.
Well, that will really put that'll be depending on which direction that takes ultimately.
Back as the attorney representing this city.
Well, they can still do the inspections. It's just they can't hold these properties prior to a certain year to the same standards. Is that true?
2008 or something?
Or 2004 or 8 or whatever. But yeah, but they'll still do the inspections. Is that correct? They'll still do the inspections, but they can't write them up for those certain things.
They can't write them up for stuff. And if they're going to rebuild sections,
right,
then the code comes in. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a bad deal when they accepted that anyways.
Well, you know what? I'm sure council, I haven't been made aware of the ruling yet. It may be in my mail there, but we'll have to check into that because that will have ramifications.
It's done in a caucus room, just like the citizens to be heard didn't have the support to have them heard at the end. Now, Witherspoon said he needed the time to hurry up and do the city business. When you have a council meeting that only lasts 15 minutes, how much time do you need? Everything is done in the back caucus room. You shake this guy's hand, he'll shake your hand. We'll pass this, we won't pass this. Half of the stuff isn't even brought to the attention of the people. I haven't looked to see what's on the agenda for this upcoming meeting. Maybe it's not on yet.
What's that?
The agenda for a council meeting.
Yeah, what are you looking for? Which?
I like to try and stay on top of everything.
No, I mean, what are you looking for a specific thing?
Well, just like we went and bought clothes from somebody else when we have Northern Lights or whatever, come into town, buy a building, pay taxes, and we buy uniforms from a person who sells from out of town. What's wrong with giving the people that are paying the tax the business?
John, make sure when you shoot a gun, you got ammunition in it. We do have a contract with Northeast Clothing.
Northern Lights. Or Northeast Clothing?
Right, Northeast Clothing. They took over the old L Press.
Right.
We presently have an agreement with them for fire, police, and other clothing. That was a specific, sometimes on specific items, they may not, they have a contract for all the uniforms and for general things. Now, if it's a specific thing, and I think that one was, that when that's put out for bid, they have the same, what do you call it? The same chance, right? And, sometimes it doesn't work out all the time for a local.
Didn't the president of the city council explain that? Why didn't the clerk explain that and let the people know why?
It's really up to council. And you know what? I think, if people have a question, have them call me. I will explain it during my, while we do the vote, because a lot of time when I was controller, I used to attend the bid openings, and there were many times that even local businesses didn't bid. I mean, you would wonder why, but, some bids are done on a, what we call the state level with the STARS program. Those are, designed to, like, for instance, on cars, people say, well, why doesn't a local car dealers a lot of time bid? And I asked my brother-in-law who's in the business, he said they can't afford to. Some companies determine they're willing to take, $100 more on a car than what it should go for. There's not much of a profit there, but they deal in volume. So nobody slighted Northeast. I mean, they have a lot of our business. If you go up there now, you'll see a lot of our men going in and out of there, the new police officers and everything.
Yeah, well, they're paying with taxpayers' money.
Well, they do get a clothing allowance, and that,
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, in their job, that's normal,
All I know, we're not putting the potholes, we're not filling them up as much as a friend of mine in Chicago told me the other day. They filled 240,000 potholes this year already. And they're going to pave 35 miles of streets. So.
Well, I've said this to people, we can do the same thing. It just, how do you want to pay for your poison?
I told you how before.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
We need a bond issue to go X amount of years. If the taxes come up, the mayor comes out right and says, we're going to charge you $500,000 for road repair, and that's it. Don't stick us with a service charge. Come up front and tell us.
Well, my idea has always been to say, and we did it when I was on the school board with computers. We do it here right now with our debt service. We can easily say, you know what, we're gonna levy a $500,000, whatever we want, $500,000, whatever, and strictly dedicate that to road repair. If that's every year, systematically do it. I mean, it's got to come out one way. In the ideal world, Gann and Mercyhurst and everybody else would step up to the plate and contribute to that.
That's the whole thing right there.
I mean, we get liquid fuels money from the Commonwealth.
It's going down.
But the city, right, and the city uses that to pay off the electric bills, which is legal under that term. But one way or the other, you're going to have to pay for electric, the roads. It is what it is, and
You can't rob Peter to pay Paul, and you got to get rid of some of the bobbleheads on city council that agree with the mayor all the time.
well, John, I've never been afraid to raise taxes. I mean, it's unpleasant. And when I did it on the school board, people called me and they yelled at me. But deep down, I think the average person realizes that you got to pay for these things one way or the other.
True, you got to pay for
But I
it.
always like to be honest with people. Just tell them up front. This is why we're raising taxes, and take your poison. If you get voted out of office,
Yeah,
it was meant to
that's
be.
what it's all about.
It was meant to be. I mean, I don't think people are as bad as they're going to grumble a little bit, but hey, when they look out there, when they go to buy gas, they see it went up. They know that people aren't going to take less money to work. We have contracts we have to negotiate. That's just a fact of life.
That's true. And you're going to watch more things coming from Harrisburg soon with July 1st when all these transportation things are going to start hitting the fan. Well, you have a great day, Randy.
You too, John.
Nice to talk to you and see you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a big task in front of the city council and the mayor and the administration. It's not an easy job, and it all requires money. And the one way to get more money into the city is through
Grow the economy.
Economic development. That's right. The more people we can put to work, there's a good chance those people may even decide to reside in the city, or we put some of the citizens in the city to work that need jobs.
And this ain't a slight at Harbor Creek or Mill Creek or
No, it's
Summit,
not.
but it's easy to manage when things are going good.
Yeah.
When you look around the corner and you got a Walmart going up or a new restaurant, you got 100 new families going up every, But it's a challenge here, and I think that's why, long range, everybody's got to help out the inner city. We probably were guilty years ago of being kind of snooty. We probably were living high off the hog just like Summit is today and everybody else, And now we got to gain the trust of the suburbs and everybody. The whole area has to get together and say, what's best for us? Because we're isolated. Mm-hmm. We're sitting out here out of the power train of Pennsylvania. We're sitting here in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
We're not in the east of the Susquehanna.
Right.
We're not Pittsburgh, So, I mean, outside of Pittsburgh and Erie, what do you got in the west? Not much.
Yeah, there's not a lot here. But that's why we have to fight for those economic dollars, and we need to find those people that want to invest in the city and bring those people back. I'm often in the county during the workday. When I head back toward the city at 4 or 5 o'clock, it's just amazing the long line of traffic that's leaving the city. And we have to find reasons to provide more jobs and get those people to stay and live in the city.
And, if the area grows, that'll happen.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Because, where money is, businessmen will come.
Yeah, and vice versa, yeah. Yeah.
That's why I say, with this, it's not only this rail yard.
Right.
We're always looking, one of the things we're always looking for is the big home run ball.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've heard it all since, I don't know how old you are, but I've heard them all.
Yeah.
The Chrysler plant or the Ford plant, they never come here.
Yeah.
The beer plant.
Yeah.
The other plant, what was it,
Juice plant.
that other car plant,
Oh, yeah.
I've seen them all.
Volkswagen.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I just want to thank Mr. Barnes for his efforts in stopping the tire to pollution plant. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And we had tried to educate the citizens, but really the credit was due to Mr. Elliott. He is the one that told the tire plant people that they either had to buy the property or else the deal was done, and they didn't buy the property, so he really kind of put the kibosh on that, and I'm not disappointed that he did. I kind of question why he did, but I'm not disappointed that he did. But I think it was a great way for the community to come together and learn about an industry, just like the community's coming together and learning about the inland port and the rail yard. I think there's, again, a lot of opportunity for the rail yard to be in the city, and we need to convince Mr. Elliott to open his mind and talk to us and negotiate a way to put that in the city and bring some of this large investment into the city and grow the city's tax base.
You still there? Yeah, people got to understand this is our government. Mm-hmm. And I tell people all the time, you're not going to get me mad by coming up here and spending 2 hours yelling at, constructively. I mean,
sure.
I get paid to listen, and I'm going to listen, so it doesn't bother me. Mm-hmm. People have to take back government slowly. They have to get involved because
for sure.
This thing about, nobody listens. Well, you know what? I come here every Monday, and you got 1 hour to moan and groan, whatever you want. My phone is there. I try to answer all my calls the best I can. Mm-hmm. But you have to become involved. I remember when I first got involved in stuff, it was because of Academy closing. Mm-hmm. It was an issue that no matter what the paper said about, it can never reopen. It did reopen.
Sure did. Mm-hmm.
They said, the tire plant, they were against, that. Mm-hmm. You got the same thing, Father Jerry with McBride Viaduct. You got the people in Harbor Creek now, and it disappoints me when a man of vision, anybody, makes comments like, "We will not be challenged. We will not be led by the ignorant." Wait a minute. If you question, they used to teach me in school that there was no question that was wrong.
Right.
The only thing that was wrong is not asking the question. Mm-hmm. But now come on, people have a right to question. This is their community.
Sure. Yeah, and all of you out there paying taxes, whether you're working and paying your income taxes or your property taxes, and you have a right to question what the leaders are doing. You have a right to demand what's best for the area. And the thing I've learned is just so many smart people out there that just given the opportunity can lend so much to the discussion, and I encourage everyone to be involved, whether you talk to Kaz or the other city council people that sit up here, or you talk to your mayor. If you work in the city, you live outside the city, you talk to those local officials, but get involved. And most elected officials want people involved because that gives them a better idea of what the people are thinking. So it's good to voice your opinion to these elected officials.
I think, that's a good comment. There's so much I've seen changes all over that were done by just little people getting involved. Mm-hmm. You talk about any issue that's happened over the last 40 years, and you can look at somebody started it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You look at civil rights; it started with one woman challenging authority.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Not only her, but she was a symbol. But
sure.
This country started with people that questioned authority.
Yeah, that's the only reason this country is founded, because taxation without representation. They were against that. So now we're being taxed and we're being represented, but it's up to us to make sure these representatives are listening and hearing our voices.
But I'm glad. Right now I think this community is at a precipice. We have to start thinking.
Yeah, we have to be more demanding. I mean, it's not wrong to demand certain things. You as taxpayers and all of us, we deserve certain things, I think, with our tax money. We deserve our voice to be heard, and we deserve the elected officials to take our voices into consideration and pass laws and do things that will help us as a whole.
I feel this is a community that, over the years, has suffered from a inferiority complex at times, and we should not. No,
I mean, this is a great community. If you think about all the businesses that were here, and there's still a lot of great businesses that are here that have been here for 50 and 100 years, a lot of businesses in Erie. And if you think about the things that we produced in the past, whether it be the steam shovels at Bucyrus or the water heaters or just the pots and pans that used to be made in Erie. There's a lot of good things that were done in Erie, and there's a lot of good things yet to be done in Erie.
I was talking with Mayor Pawlowski from Allentown, and when he was still running for governor, one of his big comments to Erie people was, "If you come to my community, you'll think you're home." He said, "Because in the middle of my whole project is tons of Amthor steel stamped with Erie, PA on it." He says, "I have helped your economy." Now there's a little thing, you know, or you go to Pittsburgh and you have a hot dog and it's a Smith's.
That's right.
We have Curtsy Foods, you know. This whole thing with the rail yard, I don't think, have they ever talked to, you know, they tell us they do, but I'd like to know, have they ever talked to the business people in this community? You know, the people that make a difference.
Well, that's a good point, Kaz, because you have to wonder for the rail yard, where are the customers and who are those customers are going to be of the rail yard? And as we learn more about those businesses that will be the customers, that might help us to understand why and how it could be helped by locating it within the city.
Yeah, we don't even know, like, who would use it or, but I feel, you know, we have a lot of, like we said earlier, we got these empty business parks, and I you would think some of them are sod farms.
Yeah.
You hate to say that, but and we got to figure out why. One of the things I think I've always been amazed at is at times I've been trapped not trapped, that's a bad word, but I've been near people that had the decision-making capability to bring things here. I remember my parish priest, he was talking to one of his old classmates, trying to figure out why he couldn't bring a certain restaurant chain into the city. So we have to ask questions in the whole county and everything. Is what does it take to get you here? I remember reading years ago about how Buffalo enticed Southwest Air to come there, and how Buffalo enticed a large movie chain to actually move into a city, which is something that had never been done in years. You know, they always like the suburbs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to think outside the box. You got to figure, okay, you're not coming here because, you know, your numbers tell you that it doesn't pay. So what is it going to take for us to make it happen? Do we have to give you a LERTA? Do we have to give you a tax? Whatever it has to be. What does it take? And that's the one question we have we haven't recruited people. I used to joke we had an economic director that I think spent more time on the Brig Niagara's deck at wine and cheese parties than Commodore Perry spent on that deck.
Yeah.
Now, what came out of all that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, Kaz. We have all these business parks in the city, the IP site, the Sabacchio business site. We have sites all over. And so when I hear about large investments being made in Albion, well, I do agree that Albion probably needs investment. But if we're talking about bringing a $20 million water line into Albion so we can have a smelting plant or a wood pellet maker, well, we already have the water line running to the IP site. So again, I hope that the mayor and council and the citizens of Erie can stand up and demand that some of this economic development gets looked at for the city of Erie, because the land's already there, the port's there, the rail's already there, and a lot of these business parks. And it's just waiting for these opportunities. And I don't like to see these opportunities going outside the city. I think we ought to develop the city, and then once the city's full of these business parks, there's no more room, and then maybe we do look at these expansions where we need $20 million water lines run in order to even open the business.
And from what I've heard, the water and sewer is actually being underutilized ever since.
In the city, yeah. I mean, IP was a big user of water, as you know, many of you that worked out there, huge user of water. So the water authority is not selling near as much water as they used to because IP isn't using it.
And I think GE's down a little bit too. So I mean, you take, and that's another thing. What did I hear that rail yard may interfere with GE's?
The test track?
Test track.
It's possible.
Can you imagine ticking them off even more? No. I can't. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kaz, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I got a couple complaints. As always, summer's coming again, and we have people walking right down the middle of the streets. You know, and I know, this doesn't seem to be a big ticket item for police here.
Right.
You know, if I walk down the middle of Peachtree or I walk down the middle of 12th Street, I'm going to be arrested, and it should be no different on 12th Street. It is on 13th or 9th or 8th, or west side, east side. You know, I understand people have to walk in the middle of the road during the winter, but in the summertime, it's just ignorance. They do it, and they like, what are you going to do? They don't even move out of your way. I mean, someone has to take initiative to do something about this. You know, there's going to be a problem someday. I can see somebody, a fight, or maybe even worse, somebody getting killed because somebody's walking down the middle of the street and they're being ignorant and don't want to move out of the people's way. You know, I mean, people driving the car have the right of way, not the people walking down the middle of the street. You know, and all we hear is all the police are too busy. You know, they have other things to take care of. Well, if you're walking down the middle of the street, you're breaking the law, okay? And that should be taken care of. I got one more item here.
Okay, the first one when I meet with the chief, my next meeting, I'll bring that up with him.
Yeah, but I mean, we've had this problem for years, Kaz.
Oh, yeah, it ain't going away today.
Right, but I mean, something someday has to be done. You know, somebody coming up to Erie to visit, you know, and they're driving down the street, and you got somebody walking right in front of you, it's looking behind you and not even moving, and like, you know, what are you going to do about it? I mean, that's, you know, it gives us a bad...
Hey, I was in Philadelphia a month and a half ago. It was just as bad, and I wouldn't, where I was in the neighborhood, I wasn't about to say anything. But go ahead, what's your second complaint? Go ahead.
Well, it has to do with, of course, summer's coming, the snow's melted. We see all the mattresses and all the garbage and litter laying all over the place. You know, and I think the code office could be a little bit more productive, you know, and pro-code, and start citing some people, do something about it.
I agree with you. I've had a few complaints that I have taken upstairs, and there's a couple that are going to be rectified shortly. It does come down to will, and I think when I meet with those people in that department, I see them when I'm in City Hall. I'm going to try to find out why there's a reluctance to, cite them as much as they should, because I think, the other day I was riding along, there's a couch that appeared here, a couch that appeared there, the landlords say, I don't know what happened. Then the college kids will be leaving in a few months, and it'll be right after the spring cleaning. They'll be popping up, and some people right now feel the obligation and need to stack up early for the cleaning.
Right.
Which we need to say, you know what, that's not the way it is.
We'll look into it, Kaz. I'm going to let you go.
Oh, yeah,
another summer's coming. We have all these.
If you know anybody, if you have any complaints, just leave it on my answering machine, and I will hand deliver them upstairs. And I try to have those guys contact me to keep me informed of which ones I turn in.
All right, Kaz. I'm going to let you go, bud.
Okay. A lot of the things that he brought up are things over the years that there's no manners, no ethics. I don't know what happened.
You have to wonder. I know in the suburbs, usually it's unlimited garbage pickup, and if you have a sofa or something you set out, you call ahead of time, and it's not an issue. Whereas in the city, of course, it's a once-a-year thing where you're allowed to put out large items.
That could be it too. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. You're on the air.
New caller here. I just have a couple questions on. Really quickly, I went to the school board meeting recently on Boys Club wanting to do the school.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that's probably not the taxes you're talking about because that's school taxes. But
no, go ahead. That's Taxpayer Hotline. Go ahead.
Really going to take up our taxes on doing stuff like that, which also brought up the next fact of I don't know who is going to ask for the next school, if it's the International Institute or who it is. I heard that that's who it was. I hate to not have my facts straight, but that's what I was asking about, the International Institute. Do you know, because the Boys Club is tax-free, they don't pay any taxes.
Right.
Nothing, no school tax, no city tax, they're non-profit. Is it the same with the International Institute?
I think they are nonprofit. I really do believe that. I could check, but everything I've been led to hear and understand, they probably would fall under that.
School taxes, nothing to our county taxes.
Right. Are they thinking about a charter school?
I'm not sure. That's what I said. I hate to not have my facts correct on that.
I know Mr. Horton was going to open one that...
The question I was trying to get to was the properties. Do they actually have properties in the city that are also tax exempt, like the homes?
You mean like you're talking about the International Institute?
Yes. Because I'm not sure how this happens with the people moving into the neighborhoods, but they have a lot of people that come in. Like in my neighborhood, I've had a couple. They're from overseas, and they come over, and I don't, nothing against them or anything, but they're not used to our winters. They obviously have lived somewhere warm, and nobody's told them when they come here, how to drive. That we have really bad winters to get a shovel
or how to dress sometimes.
They have a lot of money that they get to go into these homes. I mean, they did a lot of repairs to these homes, and a lot. And I don't know how they get this money. I'm talking thousands and thousands of dollars of repairs. I sure don't have that to put into my homes, and I just don't know if those homes, they move out after a couple years.
I would think if the homes are under their name, meaning the Institute, they probably would be tax exempt. Unless they put the homes in the name of the owner. I will check on that for you. I'll have to make a call.
I'm just wondering how many tax-exempt properties in the city they would, because that's a lot of tax-exempt. If we could start charging taxes to these nonprofits, I don't think the Boys Club, I think they're making enough money. They could pay some taxes.
Well, here's the problem. No matter what council feels, and we can write all the letters in the world, and so can the Harbor Creek supervisors and Mill Creek, and it all comes down to, in this state, comes down to Harrisburg. They would have to change the definition of a nonprofit, and there's been a reluctance. In fact, they've expanded, in some cases, the definition of a nonprofit to include parking lots, athletic fields. So when you look at somebody like Mercier's, even though they make money in some of these apartments, those are considered tax exempt.
Wow, that sure does make a big problem, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. What we need to do, and I talked to, our representatives, and I said, can't we come up with don't call it a tax, call it a fee. That they got to put money into cover public safety, or, roads, anything. That's in any. If you look at Barron, that affects Harbor Creek, that affects Wesleyville. We get pounded. Edinboro gets pounded. It's not just them. It's all the nonprofits, and I think the city. The last time we were told, it was almost 40-some% tax exempt.
40%.
Something like that. So guess who pays?
The other 60. Right,
and of that 60, how many are really like in the city? You take the per capita income of those, we don't have a lot of people that are considered in the upper tier. So, it's a problem. And the Commonwealth has to change it, but I always use these numbers, ma'am.
Okay.
Of all the legislators we have in the county, most of them are from the suburbs. So they don't really, when you go across the whole Commonwealth, they don't see the problem that the cities have.
Right. Yeah, I understand that because they're not here, so they don't see it. But so when these nonprofits, so say that they are buying these properties, they can just continue to keep purchasing properties at paying no tax.
Well, it has to meet the. I'm not a lawyer, and I wish I gave you the answer, but anytime they have anything declared tax exempt, it has to meet criteria. And I'm not sure about the houses, but. Obviously, if they have an outreach building for services, say the Boys Club opens up a satellite office, that would fall under their umbrella. But I'm not sure about houses with the International Institute. That I'm going to ask about specifically, and I have a feeling it depends on how the leases read. But here's a prime example. Gannon, they're buying up property down in Erie. And as long as it fits their educational parameters, now some things they do pay tax on. if it's doesn't fit into their mission and they're making money. But by and large, they find a way to fit it in.
No.
Yeah, it's not fair, ma'am. So you're not in favor of charter schools, right?
No. Well, no, not because, not now after I attended that meeting, because it's going to cost us taxpayers more money. We have to pay these separate administrators whatever they want, and there's no way to fire them if you feel they've done a bad job. They don't want to make their finances available to us, and if we're putting in tax money, I think that they should. And it's the same thing. They've told me the same thing about the charter schools. It has to be a Harrisburg fix. They wrote the law wrong. I mean, anybody can apply, and they could just keep bombarding our system until we get all these schools that, we have to keep giving our money every year. Our taxes could just keep going up and up.
Yeah, what they do is they basically, if they can find a niche, then they can start a charter school, and then what they do is the money comes right out of the school district's budget to finance them. It's on a per-student basis, and then if the students are classified special need in some way, the money increases. So what happens to the school district, they still have their fixed infrastructure that has to be fed, by tax money, and you got these other ones that are sitting on the periphery now, all developed. So it's a real mess, and it's not a good thing.
It is a real mess, and like I said, the other part about it that people don't understand is that when you have these charter schools, you are hiring a whole nother administration, and these people feel that they should get paid a lot of money to do this. We already have a school district. We have an administration that takes care of all our schools, and now we have to pay other administrations to take care of just a few schools.
Well, I don't know if we pay them directly. We have to send money over there, and then they take care of that, but they do get taxpayer money.
Yeah, I agree with you, because, the money that follows those students not only has to pay the teachers, it has to pay the administrators, and like you said, you already have administrators in the Erie School District, so now you have double, triple, quadruple the number of administrators, and instead of the money going to educate the students, some of that money has to be peeled off to pay for those administrators in all those charter schools.
There's the reason for charters.
And what they were saying at the school district building when I was attending the meeting was they were asking, about the finances, and these people don't want to make their finances known, and it's our tax dollars. How is that legal that they are telling us they don't want to make the finance? I would expect full financial disclosure to the taxpayers as it's our money. The other part of it is you can't fire those administrators. Once they're in charge.
Well, the school district can't audit them. That I know that for a fact. Anytime, like even when I was controller, any money that the city gave to anybody, it gave the controller and the council and the city the right to audit those funds. So, how it pertains to the public, I don't know, but I do believe if it's taxpayer money, there's probably some level of transparency where if you put a freedom of information request in, they would probably have to acknowledge it. I'm not saying they'd bend over and give it to you quickly, but
I would agree that it would have to be, disclosed to the public. But these people really had an attitude at this school district meeting, and it wasn't. If anybody would see the replay, they'd see it, and it's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money. It's going to cost us more money every year, and they're just going to keep raising it up. The other school that they want to, like I said, I'm not sure if it was the International Institute or who it is, but it's a school for teaching children how to speak English.
yeah, that's the one I think Mr. Horton was going to open up.
Oh, that's Mr. Horton doing that one. See,
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and I don't want to be. I know he tried to do that, and they voted him down. There may be another one out there too. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, they keep coming one after the other because it's financially lucrative for these people.
You said what I was going to say. I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, I know that they're not allowed to say that, but it's the truth. These are really starting to turn into a big financially lucrative